My name is Detective Adrian Locke, and for the first time in years, I was officially off duty. No murder boards, no late-night interrogations, no bodies waiting for answers. Just me, a stack of novels I'd promised myself I'd read, and the shimmering turquoise ocean. That was the plan, and the Sapphire Empress was the perfect place to disappear. The ship wasn't just big, it was floating royalty. Crystal chandeliers, red velvet carpets, glass walls looking directly into the sea, and a crew trained to smile like they'd been sculpted to do it. For the first 24 hours, I convinced myself everything was perfect. Too perfect. But that was the detective in me talking, that little voice that never turned off, no matter how far I ran from work. By the second night, that voice had something real to latch onto. I was sitting in the Horizon Lounge when I heard it. The muffled sound of someone running past the hallway just beyond the glass doors. Fast, desperate. Then a woman's voice.
Help, someone, please. Help! Someone, please!
I shot up instantly. Old instincts, unwelcome but automatic, snapped awake inside me. I reached the source, cabin 7-129, just as a young couple stumbled into the hallway, pale, frozen, unable to speak. Behind them, inside the room, was a body. A woman, mid-30s, elegant gown, hair spread across the carpet like black silk, eyes open but empty. No sign of struggle, no blood, no weapon. A death that looked almost peaceful. Too peaceful. The ship's security team arrived minutes later, and the head officer, a tall, stern man named Vargas, clearly didn't want me involved.
Sir, you're a passenger. Please step back.
But the couple who found the body pointed directly at me.
He's a detective. He can help.
Vargas's expression soured instantly. Vacation or not, I said. I know a suspicious death when I see one. His jaw tightened, but then something changed in his eyes. A flicker, a tightening, a calculation. Almost like he realized keeping me away would look even worse.
Fine,
he said quietly.
but you don't do anything without telling me first.
Her name was Clara Argento, a wealthy art dealer traveling alone, no drugs in the room, no alcohol. The minibar was untouched, her luggage neatly arranged, jewelry case open, nothing missing. No signs of forced entry, nothing disturbed. Vargas muttered, "Heart failure." I shook my head. "Look at her nails," I said softly. He hesitated, then leaned closer. Her right hand nails had tiny chips, as if she'd clawed something. The left hand, perfect. She fought with one hand only. Strange.
She had a panic episode.
Vargas insisted.
Probably grabbed the carpet.
No, I said. She clawed something that isn't here anymore. His eyes hardened. He didn't like me contradicting him. But facts were facts. Then I noticed something else. Her necklace clasp was twisted backwards, not broken, just reversed. A sign someone had grabbed it from behind. Not enough to strangle, enough to hold her still. This wasn't natural. This was homicide. There was no fingerprint on the necklace, no fibers under her nails, no bruising. Whoever killed her knew how to make a death look invisible. Even worse, Clara had signed up for a private dinner that night with someone named A. Marlowe. I froze, my stomach tightened. I knew that name, everyone in the investigative world did. A man rumored to run an underground network of high-profile theft, blackmail, falsified identities, and disappearing jobs. No one had ever proved Marlowe existed. He was a myth, except that he wasn't. And suddenly, I wasn't on vacation anymore. While Vargas argued with the ship's captain about whether to alert the passengers, I did what I always did: observe. I returned to Clara's cabin and sat on her bed. The room was too quiet, too staged. Then something buzzed. Her phone. She had one unread note. A voice memo titled, "If anything happens to me." My heart rate spiked. I plugged in my earbuds and hit play. Clara's voice came through trembling but clear.
Someone is after me. I can't leave the ship. He's watching. The man's name is Marlowe. If I die, he's on board.
The recording ended with a crash, a gasp, and the sound of footsteps. I stood up, adrenaline flooding through me. Someone was in the room with her, someone who knew exactly how to kill without leaving a trace. Someone still walking the same halls as me. Someone watching me even now, and then a soft knock. I turned, slow, cautious. Someone slid an envelope under the door. Inside, a single message written in perfect handwriting. "Detective Locke, stay out of this, or you'll join her." The handwriting was elegant, controlled, almost artistic. A killer who took his time. A killer who enjoyed taking his time. I didn't touch the paper. Instead, I studied the edges. No fingerprints, no smudges, no creases that would suggest nervousness. This man was confident, too confident, which meant only one thing. He had done this before. I stepped into the hallway cautiously. Passengers were laughing, drinking, posing for photos, blissfully unaware that someone among them had murdered a woman in cold blood less than 6 hours ago, and that someone was watching me. The Sapphire Empress was built like a floating palace, but at that moment its corridors felt like narrowing tunnels. I needed answers. Starting with Clara Argento's past, starting with A. Marlowe. I met Vargas, ship security chief, in his office. The man didn't like me, but he respected results, and I was the only one finding any. I grabbed a seat across his desk. "I need passport logs, room entries, and camera feeds from Clara's floor," I said. Vargas rubbed his temples.
You can't just...
"Someone murdered her. Someone left me a warning. If the killer escapes this ship, you are responsible." His jaw clenched. He typed a code into his terminal.
Fine, but you're officially assisting under my supervision.
He pulled up the passenger registry. Hundreds of names, dozens of nationalities, but one line was missing. A. Marlowe, private dinner guest. It wasn't in the system, not registered, not listed under crew, guests, or visitors. "He was invited," I said. "Clara's reservation confirms it." Vargas shook his head slowly.
Detective, there was no A. Marlowe on this ship. At least, not officially.
I leaned back in my chair. So the killer boarded without leaving a trace.
Or he never boarded under his real name.
I stared at the passenger list. Someone here was playing multiple roles. Someone here was hiding behind another identity. Someone here wanted Clara dead, and they wanted me next. I replayed Clara's voice message again, slower.
The man's name is Marlowe. If I die, he's on board.
But something in the background caught my ear this time. A faint sound, a soft hum, mechanical, smooth, like an engine, but not a ship engine, more like an elevator. I turned to Vargas. "That sound, what deck was she on?"
7,
he said.
Only one elevator services that deck, which means the killer used it.
We checked the elevator logs from around the time of the message. There it was. A single movement recorded at 11:51 p.m., accessed with a staff override code, not by a passenger, not by a guest, a crew member. A chill crept up my spine. This killer planned everything, from the timing to the access code to erasing his name. But there was a mistake. Even if he used a borrowed access code, someone had to be missing. "So," I said, "who on your staff didn't report for duty last night?" Vargas checked the roster, then his face drained of color.
Deck steward Marcus Hale. Didn't clock in, but he's been working on the Empress for years. Let me see his staff profile,
Vargas said quietly. Vargas pulled up the file. No photo, no family contacts, no hiring date. just 3 lines of text and a passport number that looked suspiciously new. "This isn't a file," I said. "It's a placeholder." Vargas exhaled shakily.
You think he's...
"Yes," I said. "Your steward Marcus Hale never existed." And then came the worst part. I had already seen him, hours earlier, on deck 7, walking calmly past Clara's hallway, a tall man with dark hair, grey suit jacket, expression unreadable. He looked right at me, not surprised, not rushed, not guilty, just aware. He knew who I was. He knew what I would find. He had planned for it. This wasn't just a murderer, this was a hunter. The next morning, the Sapphire Empress approached the port of Grey Harbor City, a sprawling metropolis of neon spires, fog-soaked streets, and crowded piers. As the ship neared the docks, the atmosphere shifted. Passengers lined up excitedly, crew members prepared for disembarkation. But all I saw was the killer's opportunity. If he escaped into Grey Harbor, he would vanish permanently. I looked at Vargas. "We need to lock down the exits."
We can't.
He whispered.
The captain won't allow it without proof.
I grabbed the printed copy of Clara's voice memo. "This is the proof." He shook his head.
Not enough. The cruise line lawyers will shut this down.
I cursed under my breath. The killer was going to walk off that ship like a ghost. As passengers exited the ship, I stayed back, scanning every face, but the killer wasn't among them, not visibly, not obviously. He could have shaved, dyed his hair, changed clothes, pretended to be a porter, a chef, a cleaner, even a passenger. He could be anyone. Then, as I stepped onto the dock, a man approached me. Not suspicious, not dangerous. A messenger. He handed me a small black envelope. "For Detective Adrian Locke," he said. My chest tightened. I opened it. Inside was a single note. Same elegant handwriting. "Welcome to Grey Harbor, Detective. If you want to find me, you'll need to follow the trail she left behind. M." And beneath it, a hotel room key. Room 913, at the Heron Spire Hotel, one of the most expensive towers in the entire city. The killer wasn't running. He was inviting me deeper, calling me into his world, pulling me into a city full of shadows and secrets. A city where Clara lived a second life. A city where Marlowe's name was feared. A city where this mystery was just beginning. Grey Harbor City always greeted visitors the same way, with a sharp breath of cold air and the feeling that someone was watching from a window you couldn't locate. Tall buildings huddled together like silent witnesses. Fog drifted off the water in slow, ghostly waves. Neon signs flickered even in daytime, as if the city never truly woke up. A perfect place for a murderer to hide, or to play. The Heron Spire Hotel towered over the harbor like a metallic blade piercing the sky. The key in my hand, room 913, felt heavier with every step I took toward its revolving glass doors. This was no message of escape, it was a message of confidence. The killer wasn't afraid of being caught. He was inviting me, drawing me in. And I was no longer investigating for the sake of the ship, or Clara, or Vargas. Now it was personal. The moment I stepped inside Heron Spire's lobby, the atmosphere shifted. White marble floors polished to a mirror shine. Glass walls etched with gold patterns. A long chandelier cascading like frozen rain above the reception desk. Every surface reflected me, and the possibility that someone else was reflecting me too. "Room 913, I said. The receptionist, a young man with careful posture and anxious eyes, froze for a moment, only for a moment, before handing over a form.
Of course, sir. Mr. Marr...
He shut his mouth abruptly.
the system shows the room is currently unoccupied.
Unoccupied. But a key was already in my hand. Who stayed there last? I asked. He swallowed. His hands trembled almost imperceptibly,
I'm not allowed to say.
which meant the last guest was someone powerful, someone feared, or someone who left strict instructions. Either way, I knew the name. Marlowe. The elevator hummed softly as it climbed to the 9th floor. Room 913 was at the very end of the hall. A perfect position. No rooms on the left, only one on the right. A dead-end corridor. One way in, one way out. A trap, or a stage. I slid the keycard into the slot. The lock clicked. I stepped inside slowly. Dark, silent, cold. The curtains were drawn, blocking out what little sunlight the city offered. The room smelled faintly of cologne and old books, an unexpected combination. Everything was perfectly arranged, untouched, almost as if someone had cleaned the space meticulously to hide evidence. But perfect rooms tell their own stories. I flicked on the lights. That's when I saw it. On the desk, placed precisely in the center, a single object, Clara Argento's passport. My stomach tightened. She never packed it, which meant it was taken from her after she died, which meant the killer had been here. Recently, the passport was clean, no fingerprints, no smudges. I opened it. Inside was a small folded paper tucked behind the photo page. A note written again in that same elegant script. She wasn't who she said she was. I stared at the words, then the paper slipped from my hand. On the other side, written softer, smaller, and neither is the one who killed her. Marlowe was taunting me, leading me, pushing me toward a truth he wanted me to find. But why? What did he gain from playing guide and assassin at the same time? I searched the room further and found something even more disturbing, a hotel notepad with a list written in sharp, deliberate handwriting. Not Clara's, not mine, Marlowe's. Harper Vale, Linwood Pierce, Clara Argento, Detective Adrian Locke. 4 names. Clara's was crossed out, mine was circled. A chill ran through me. The other 2 names were untouched, still part of whatever game this was. I needed to find them, fast, because if Clara was the first victim, I wasn't the second. I was the last, which meant Harper Vale and Linwood Pierce were next. As I stepped back from the desk, something glinted near the curtain. A tiny lens, barely noticeable, hidden in the stitching of the fabric. A camera, wireless, high-end, streaming live footage directly to someone. Maybe to Marlowe, maybe to someone else, but definitely not to the hotel. I pulled out the micro device and examined it. Custom-made, professional, which meant the killer had money, resources, and access to the city's underworld. This wasn't a simple murder. This was a chess match. I left the hotel immediately. Harper Vale and Linwood Pierce, these names were my only leads. Whoever they were, Clara had been involved with them, and Marlowe had chosen them deliberately. If I could find them, I could trace the path backward. To Clara, to the motive, to the killer. The receptionist nearly flinched when I approached. "I need information," I said quietly, "about the guests named Harper Vale and Linwood Pierce." He hesitated.
Sir, those names?
"Are they on a list?" I asked. "A watch list?" His eyes widened, which means I absolutely should. He leaned closer, voice a whisper.
Harper Vale hasn't checked in for 3 days.
Linwood Pierce booked a room here last week, but he left yesterday, very suddenly.
Destination?
He didn't say. He left in a hurry.
The pieces clicked instantly. 2 names, a murder, a dead art dealer, a mythical criminal mastermind. A hotel room filled with clues that weren't supposed to exist. Clara's death wasn't random. It was a message between powerful people, and I had stepped right into the middle. I stepped back from the entrance of the hotel, letting the fog roll around my shoulders like a cold, damp cloak. The city air tasted metallic, the kind of smell streets carried after rain and wrongdoing. Something wasn't just off. The entire situation was a stage, and I was the only one who hadn't seen the script. I walked toward the harbor's edge, letting the sprawling lights of Grey Harbor smear across the water. My mind replayed everything: Clara's death, the impossible neatness of the crime scene, the room key left for me like a wrapped present, her passport placed in room 913, the list of names, including my own, Harper Vale and Linwood Pierce, two strangers whose fates were suddenly intertwined with mine. If Clara was crossed out, and my name was circled, the remaining two were hanging by a thread, waiting to snap. I pulled out my phone and dialed an old contact, someone who owed me favors, someone who didn't ask unnecessary questions. They picked up on the first ring.
You still digging graves in Grey Harbor?
The voice croaked. Only the ones people try to cover with marble, I said. I need background checks. 2 names.
Shoot.
Harper Vale. Linwood Pierce. A crackle of keyboard noise followed. Then silence. A long silence.
That's strange.
The contact muttered.
Both names have partial flags in old security databases. Not active. Historical. Someone cleaned the files. Recently.
What kind of cleanup?
The kind wealthy men pay for when they want to disappear.
I glanced back at the hotel, room 913 directly above me. I need everything you can't legally send me.
You'll have it in an hour.
I hung up, pocketed the phone, and stared up again. A taxi idled near the corner, engine humming softly. The driver watched me through his rearview mirror, not suspiciously, but with curiosity. I walked toward him. You do night runs around Heronspire often? I asked. He shrugged.
More than I want to. Rich ghosts live there.
Ghosts? He leaned out the window. His eyes were tired but sharp.
People check in, people check out, but some faces never leave. You get what I mean?
I did. See anyone unusual go in or out within the last hour?
Yeah.
He pointed upward.
Some tall guy in a dark coat. Didn't exit through the lobby. Went in through the staff entrance.
How long ago?
10 minutes.
Which meant he entered the building after I left the room. And if he used the staff entrance, he hadn't passed me in the lobby, meaning he had been in the room as I searched it, watching me through the hidden camera, waiting for the exact moment I exited. A wave of cold anger rolled up my spine. This wasn't arrogance, this was control, the kind only masterminds or madmen possessed. I paid the driver and walked swiftly toward the staff entrance. It was locked with a digital pad. Not a problem. I pressed my hand to the cold steel door, listening. Nothing. I leaned down, checking the lock, standard. Something a butter knife and a little pressure could open, but luckily I had a proper pick set in my wallet. 2 clicks. The door opened. Inside, the hallway smelled of industrial cleaners and quiet panic. A staff member approached, carrying a crate of folded towels.
Sir, you can't be here.
I flashed my badge. Technically, I wasn't on duty, but the metal itself still carried authority. Has anyone passed through here in the last 15 minutes? I asked. She hesitated.
A man.
She whispered.
Tall, wearing gloves. He went toward the service elevators. He didn't speak, just stared.
That way? I asked, nodding. She nodded back quickly. Good. He was close. I followed the narrow corridor to the service elevator doors. Fresh fingerprints smeared the stainless steel, smudges from leather gloves. I pressed the call button. The elevator arrived with a soft chime. Empty. Not surprising, he wouldn't still be inside. He wanted me to know he had been there. He wanted me to follow. This was still part of the dance. I stepped inside and looked up. A tiny black sticker was on the ceiling, hardly noticeable. A camera had once been mounted there, removed. Recently, he didn't want surveillance, he wanted privacy. Marlowe, or whoever orchestrated this, was making sure the only record of this chase existed in my head. I hit the button for the 9th floor, the floor where room 913 waited like an open wound. The elevator hummed upward. Halfway up, it stopped. Not at a floor. Not because of a malfunction. Someone had pressed the override. The lights flickered. A soft hiss filled the small space. A message appeared on the elevator's tiny digital screen. "You should have stayed on the ship, detective." He was watching. He was always watching. A threat? A taunt? Or just a reminder that my vacation had ended long before I stepped off that vessel? I exhaled slowly through my nose. Whoever was behind this had control of the hotel's staff elevators. He had access, power, timing. He wasn't running, he was performing. The lights steadied. The elevator continued upward as if nothing had happened. But something had. I wasn't alone in this hunt anymore. I was being handled, like a rook slowly cornered by a grandmaster. When the doors slid open onto the 9th floor, the hallway greeted me with cold, stale air. The carpet was spotless, almost too clean, sanitized to hide footprints. Room 913 waited at the far end. The door was cracked open. I hadn't left it that way. Perfect. I stepped inside carefully, every sense wired tight. The air smelled different, faint chemical notes, almost like wiped surfaces. Someone had cleaned the room. Not housekeeping. No housekeeping team in the world moved this fast or this silently. I scanned the space. The spilled champagne bottle I'd noticed earlier was gone. The pillows were reset. The curtains pulled. Even the indentation on the carpet, where Clara's suitcase had been, was gone. Someone was erasing the evening. Erasing her. I walked to the desk. The list of names was still there. But this time, Harper Vale's name was now underlined out. I froze. It wasn't underlined out before, meaning Harper Vale was in danger. Marlowe, or the shadow pretending to be him, making another move. I touched the paper, still warm. Whoever updated this list had been inside minutes ago, maybe seconds. I scanned the room again, dust on the dresser, a faint scuff on the window latch, an invisible shift in the air. Someone had stood exactly where I was standing, watching the city, watching me. The silence grew heavy, like the room itself held its breath. Then my phone buzzed. One new message. A location pin from my confidential contact, the result of the background check. Under the pin was one line. Harper Vale lives in Grey Harbor Dock Apartment 12B. You need to hurry.